All right, so this situation has come to my attention multiple times. So I definitely wanted to have a conversation about this. And it is something that I have seen a lot of business owners unfortunately have a bad experience with an accountant. And this is probably happening more and more. And I'm going to explain why sometimes the person who's doing your taxes, why they may not be, I guess you say, working in your best interest in some cases. And some of the times, like I said, it is there's a misunderstanding of what you actually are paying for, or there is a misunderstanding about what your business needs. And sometimes there's just a pure misunderstanding period about what they can actually do to help your business. So I wanted to have this conversation and talk about it because I am a CPA, and I have seen this happen to far too many business owners. And when you're a business owner, you work way too hard to throw any of your money away to not get the value that you're paying for. I mean, because you're working hard to grow your business, so you need the right level of support. And so I'm going to talk about, this conversation about, what your accounting isn't telling you. And it definitely deals with tax and other accounting and finance aspects of your business. But before I do that, I know some people that are new that if you don't know me, my background is accounting and finance. I'm a CPA, and my field has been in corporate finance and accounting. So really less from the tax side, more so from the side of helping businesses understand, all right, now that we see our numbers, what do we actually do with these numbers to go actually move our business forward, actually grow our business, to actually hit the targets that we need to hit? So how do we make sense of the financial data so we can actually use it to go make decisions? And as you probably know, or maybe you're just new to this, but I create a ton of content for business owners, helping make finance and accounting less complicated. Because I will admit, as a CPA, I can openly admit that I think for far too long, accountants have made finance and accounting more complicated than it needs to be for business owners, which is why a lot of business owners, they've just been avoiding the topic, or business owners won't even get close to it. They won't even touch it, and they're ignoring it. And the thing about it is, if you're ignoring this part of your business, then you're stopping yourself from really seeing the great success that you could see. Now, back to the topic of what your accountant isn't telling you. Now, first, before I jump into that, I want to go back to something that I shared, 2 days ago. Was what is an accountant? Now, accountants come in different forms. Not all accountants are created equal. Now, normally when people think about an accountant, they're immediately thinking about the person who's going to help me file my taxes. Well, the truth of the matter is that's not the only type of accountant that exists. There are bookkeepers, there are controllers, there are people who do focus on tax, and then there are CFOs. All of those are different flavors of an accountant. And you want to make sure you keep that in mind because they play different roles. But in this video, like I said, I'm going to focus a little bit more on taxation because the problem or the scenario and the situation that has been brought to my attention that some people have brought up is here's what they explain. Typical situation is a client is looking at their business and they're like, man, I'm not making the type of profit that I want to make in my business. I need to figure out my numbers. I need to figure out how do I grow it and how do I hit my financial goals. So they go to their accountant who they've trusted to do their taxes for a while. And they're like, hey, I think I need to hire a bookkeeper or a CFO to help me, really figure out and really get a handle on my numbers. The accountant that's been doing their taxes looks at them and says, hey, my firm, we can help you with that. Actually, we have a package. We have a CFO package, or we have a bookkeeping package that we can also offer. So where we can do your bookkeeping, we can provide CFO services, and we can do your taxes, and we can give you a combined package to make sure that we take care of all the parts of your business. The client says, okay. Now, unfortunately, 6 months go by and the client has not heard from the accountant. And part of that is because Well, I'm going to tell you why that is, but let me finish the story first. But 6 months to go by, the client hasn't heard from the accountant, and they're wondering, like, they're still just as lost today as they were before because they can't figure out what's going on with the finance in their business. They're still in the dark about it. They don't understand what's happening. They don't understand where their opportunities are and what could help them move forward. And so then they get to tax season. The accountant somehow does all the taxes, fills it out, and then at the end of tax season, they ask their accountant, like, "Hey, what can I do to make my business better?" And the accountant really doesn't have an answer for them. And what they do is they go through this cycle year after year after year after year. The sad part about it is that this is happening to far too many business owners, and that shouldn't be the case. Because if you are really trying to understand your numbers, I will be completely honest with you. A tax accountant may not be the best person to actually help you really get a handle on that. I mean, your tax accountant is great for tax matters and compliance related things and tax strategy, but they may not be the best person to actually help you with your bookkeeping or to help you with your CFO services. Because if we take a look, here's what it actually looks like for a tax accountant's normal business model. And the way that a tax accountant's business model works is the ones that are highlighted in green are the months where a tax accountant is really, that's where they really make most of their money. They make most of their money in January, February, March, and then half of April-ish as you get close to tax filings. And then they also make money in September and October for the people who filed extensions. That is what a typical tax accountant's kind of revenue cycle looks like. Now, for many tax accountants, unfortunately, that I have met, what they started realizing is that in May, June, July, August, November, and December, they really aren't making that much money because there aren't any tax returns that are due in those months. Now, if there are no tax returns due in those months and they're not really making money in those months, one of the questions that they ask themselves is, hey, how do I actually start adjusting my business to be able to make more money in those months? And what I have seen some tax accountants do is they start offering bookkeeping services or they start offering CFO services to fill in the gaps for those months where they aren't really generating revenue. Now, they aren't necessarily doing it because that's the best interest of their clients. They're doing it because they're looking at their own business model. Now, I agree. There are some tax accountants out there that offer bookkeeping and amazing CFO services. And if they are doing a great job, my hat goes off to them. What I am speaking to are the scenarios where people have come to me and said, hey, I'm paying this person who does my taxes, but they're not really helping me understand the numbers. And then I dig a little bit more. And what I find is that they're paying a monthly service fee every single month to that accountant. That accountant isn't really doing any of the work during the year. The accountant is really just waiting for tax season to then do all the bookkeeping all at once. But for a business owner who is really trying to navigate growth in their business, that's not what you need. What you really need is someone who's going to help you understand the numbers, and then they're going to help you look at those numbers on a regular basis to say, okay, all right, if these are the numbers for my business, what decisions do I need to make to move forward? So I really like to help people understand when it comes down to a accountant for your business. I know a lot of people use the word accountant and they just refer to everything under the umbrella of finance. But if you're looking for an accountant, you want to be a little bit clearer about what type of accountant are you looking for? Are you looking for someone that's going to be a bookkeeper, where a bookkeeper is going to do kind of the basic accounting? Think about if you're a small business, you're using a QuickBooks, a Zero, or some other accounting system. The bookkeeper is a person who's going to get in there and going to actually reconcile the reconcile the bank accounts. They're going to put the transactions in the right accounts. That way, when you actually look at the financial statements, they will make some sense to you. And as a business owner, you may not necessarily have time to do all that yourself. It probably is smart for you to get help to do those things. Now, a controller, on the other hand, it's similar to a bookkeeper, but on a much more complex scale. A controller is going to deal with more complex accounting and some analytics. Now, a tax accountant, which is what most people are familiar with, that person is going to help you with tax filings and compliance. They are not going to be the ones typically that are doing the bookkeeping, doing the controllership. They may be aware of it and they may be capable of doing it, but that's not their primary focus. And then for the businesses, if you are really looking to develop strategies and really combine your business strategy with your financial strategy, and you're trying to figure out, okay, how do we get from where we are to where we need to be? CFO services are more in line with what you need. So when you're talking about, hey, I need an accountant for my business, you kind of want to think through, what are the objectives that I'm trying to achieve? What is important to me right now? Because if all that is important to you is filing your taxes and IRS compliance, a tax accountant may be right for you. But if you're really trying to grow your business and you're trying to scale things up, then a CFO or a fractional CFO may be a good fit for you. And I say this as an accountant myself, whereas my focus is on bookkeeping and CFO services. My firm works with a lot of different clients where we provide bookkeeping services to really help businesses really get a clean set of financials so they can look at their reports and they can actually see, hey, here's how our business is doing. And then we also provide CFO services where, based on our experience, we dig into those numbers and we actually understand, what goals are you trying to achieve? Like, hey, where do your prices need to be? What does your cost structure look like? Hey, where do we need to make some steps forward, or where do we need to make some tweaks or some adjustments so that the goal that the financial goal that you're trying to hit, it becomes more attainable, more realistic as we start to work through that. But the thing about it is, you got to understand what you're really after. And again, I say is, find out, what level do you want to operate in your business? Again, my firm, we focus on CFO services and bookkeeping support services. If you are working with an accountant and that accountant is telling you, oh, we do it all, I would strongly, strongly tell you to reconsider that relationship. If an accountant is telling you they can do it all, like, hey, we can do bookkeeping, we can do tax, we can do CFO services, I personally would be a little hesitant to actually do business with that person, because that person may be telling you that they can do it all, not because it's in your best interest as a business owner. It may be in their best interest for their business model, but not in your best interest as a business owner. So if you're going to work with an accountant, understand that there are different types of accountants. Again, take a snapshot of this slide. There are different types of accountants, and each accountant kind of serves a different type of purpose. So you have to understand what's important to your business, what goal are you trying to achieve, and making sure that you're getting the right level of support for where you are and what you're trying to achieve.